In the early 16th century, the Catholic Church held a monopoly on the most valuable commodity in the world, the afterlife. The Church operated as the ultimate political superpower. From Rome, the Pope commanded vast armies, collected taxes across national borders, and built immense wealth that rivaled any king in Europe. To fund its lavish projects, the Church relied on a highly profitable financial engine, indulgences. These were official papal documents that citizens could literally buy to purchase their deceased loved one's way out of purgatory. Turning eternal salvation into a retail transaction bred deep resentment. The faithful were forced to watch a wealthy clerical elite live in luxury while squeezing the poorest peasants for the price of their souls. That resentment reached a breaking point in October 1517 with an obscure German monk, Martin Luther. Luther published his 95 Theses in Wittenberg. He laid out a rigorous, point-by-point intellectual takedown of indulgences and the logic of papal authority that propped them up. The reaction from Rome was swift and severe. The Pope threatened Luther with excommunication in 1520, and by 1521 he was formally condemned to burn at the stake at the Diet of Worms. But Luther managed to escape into hiding. That simple act of survival sent a shockwave across the continent. For the first time, the masses saw that the absolute authority of Rome could be directly challenged without facing immediate divine or royal destruction. But if you remove the Pope and the entire church hierarchy, how does a religion actually function? Luther's answer was faith alone. He argued that the Bible was the single ultimate source of revealed truth, completely overriding any papal decrees or church traditions. This led to the concept of the universal priesthood. Believers no longer needed to confess their sins to a priest to secure forgiveness. Instead, they had the right to freely examine the scriptures and build a personal relationship with God. By cutting out the middleman, this new Protestant theology stripped power from a wealthy elite and handed it directly to the individual. The theology spread rapidly, especially among German princes, who saw an undeniable political opportunity. Adopting Luther's ideas gave them the perfect excuse to expel the Pope's influence and consolidate power in their own realms. This map shows how quickly the continent splintered. The movement triggered a geopolitical domino effect. In 1534, Henry VIII passed the Act of Supremacy, pulling England out of Rome's grip to form Anglicanism, while Calvinism swept through France and the Netherlands. This diagram illustrates the harsh split in everyday worship. Elaborate Catholic masses filled with gold and incense clashed directly with simple, austere Protestant temples. The new movement aggressively cut religious dogma, dropping the 7 traditional sacraments down to just 2, baptism and communion. This religious map created 2 distinct realities. States across the North and South were now governed by different laws, social structures, and conflicting visions of the human soul. Rome realized it was losing control of the continent. Their answer came at the Council of Trent, launching a massive institutional response known as the Counter-Reformation. The Church deployed a 2-part strategy. First, an internal cleanup. They banned the sale of indulgences and forced bishops to actually live in their dioceses. Second, they aggressively doubled down on their core dogma, declaring that salvation strictly required both faith and good works. Then they weaponized the faith. They created the Jesuit order to serve as intellectual shock troops, reorganized the Inquisition to hunt down heresy, and published strict lists of banned books. These rigid new doctrines left no room for compromise. By reasserting the Pope's absolute authority and effectively criminalizing Protestant worship, the Church made direct military confrontation a matter of survival for half the continent. The 1614 painting Fishing for Souls captures the division. On the right, Catholic boats lean dangerously as clergy haul in gold from the water. Conversely, the Protestant side is orderly and serene, fishing for believers using Bibles as nets. This kind of toxic cultural division soon bled off the canvas. For over 100 years, Europe was engulfed in devastating religious wars, localized massacres, and fervent witch hunts. A theological dispute over financial ethics in a small German town had expanded into a total social transformation. The result was a permanent schism in Western civilization, leading a continent defined by competing identities that persist to this day.